Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Happiness Journey with Dr. Dan podcast, where every journey is worth living. My name is Dr. Dan, and I'm your host for today's episode. I'm a cognitive behavior psychotherapist specializing in anger management issues, both court appointed and private, marriage counseling, dissociative disorders, narcissistic personality disorders, depression, anxiety, dream analysis, and also provide life, business, and retirement coaching support. If you need any assistance, reach out to DMV Counseling and Therapy Services at 301-325-1550. And also our website is lifecoachdanamzalike.com. Today, I'm very excited to have on our podcast on season 3, episode number 1, a very special guest, Jayne Sanders. Just like every of my past episode, I will leave it up to the guests to properly introduce themselves, as no one can do a better job. Jayne, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Dan. And what a list that you help people with. My goodness. Yes, so I am a master scientific hand analyst. It's not palm reading, and maybe we'll talk about that in a bit. It's very deep and comprehensive and profound. And I have 3 coaching certifications. I'm a purpose, law of attraction, and a spiritual life coach. And those all thread together. I use them together. So I help people, bottom line, love their lives and love their work more.
Beautiful. So the $1 million question, what brought you to the hand analysis? Or were you coached before hand analysis, or that brought you to do this additional service?
So how I found this actually was being lost at work. I had 3 prior careers. I'm from the corporate world. I have an MBA and was always successful, but each career, after several years, I would just hit a wall where I knew I was supposed to be doing something else. I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. And I did work with a career coach, and for me that didn't work. I read all the books, I did everything I could, and my 3rd career lasted longer, and I realized later it was closer to my purpose, but I didn't know that at the time. But I still hit that wall and was so disappointed because I thought I had it nailed, and started searching for my purpose. I knew that's what I was missing, really, and what predicated that was one of those cosmic two-by-fours, where both of my parents passed away within 3 months of each other. And it just was a real wake-up call that I needed to quit farting around and figure out what it was I was meant to do. So that's when I started searching. And I literally Googled, how do I find my life purpose? And went down a couple of wrong tracks, but eventually ran across a headline for a teleseminar. And it read, Discover Your Innate Life Purpose. I couldn't click on that link fast enough. And the first words I saw were hand analysis. And I was so disappointed because I thought palm reading. And I figured that's fun. There's good palm readers, but it's not going to give me what I need. So I was really disappointed. And then I saw the word scientific. And that one word helped me put aside my anal MBA skepticism. So I listened to the teleseminar. It really made sense, and I really wanted my purpose. So I got a scientific hand analysis done for myself. Blew my mind. I mean, it answered so many questions that I didn't even know I had. It was like, oh, no wonder that worked in my life, but that didn't. And no wonder I liked that, but I didn't like that. And I was just so lit up and inspired, and even things I hadn't thought about, I knew were right. Everything resonated. And I also knew if I took action on the information that I would find my way to my ideal work. And that's exactly what happened. As I took action on, we call them student paths, but they're kind of like our blind spots. I just were meeting the right people, being the right doors were opened. And then I was led to a group a coaching group that I got involved with. And within a few months, I was like, oh my gosh, if I was so lit up and inspired before I even knew specifically what to do with the information, I want to help people feel like that. So I started studying it and studied it for 5 straight years. I'm as highly certified as possible. And the master designation is just from the sheer number of hand analysis that I have performed, and I am on purpose and I love my work.
Beautiful, beautiful. So tell me the difference. I mean, I'm sure a lot of listeners here are saying, okay, so what is the difference between
Yeah.
palm reading and scientific hand analysis? If you could just, provide us with that key
Yeah.
difference.
A real key. So palm reading is based on the intuitive level of the reader, and it involves predictions.
Okay.
How many marriages, how many kids, when you're going to get married, if you're going to get married, things like that. Scientific hand analysis, the lines in your hands mimic the neural pathways in your brain. The gentleman that created this system, it's a database, and he spent over 40 years and analyzed over 30,000 hands. That's more subjects than any FDA approved drug on the market.
Wow.
So it's extraordinarily reliable. Neurologists are using it. A neurosurgeon wrote the foreword to the book that the founder of this system wrote, a neurosurgeon from Stanford who was using scientific hand analysis with his patients. So, and there's no predictions to it. What's in your hands, it's etched in your hands, and there's no future to it. It's past or current. And only you will know if it's past or current. I won't know by looking at it.
So when you do a hand analysis, what are the key components that you're looking for? I mean, would it tell you that sickness may occur? Would it tell
No.
you? Okay, so it will focus primarily on what aspect of that individual?
Great question. So it tells you pretty much who you are and why you're here. So it identifies your innate life purpose, how you're meant to make a difference in the world. And it's not a job description. That would be cuckoo. It's the comprehensive, pretty specific description of the concept behind your ideal work. And everybody has options. Nobody has just one job that fits their purpose. Everybody has options. Also, we find special talents that somebody has to help them fulfill their purpose. And it's important to know those and use them, because if you're not using them, they kind of give you little nudges that aren't very comfortable. And then, as I mentioned before, the blind spots, where you need to take action, what will benefit you, no matter how good your life is now. If you take action on that blueprint that's in your hands, it will only get better. And there's a lot of other information too, but basically it's who you are and why you're here. Purpose. There's something called life school. There's your biggest tripping point, all the little ones. Very comprehensive. It's like a fire hose.
So if you're telling me that you mentioned earlier that the line in your hand follows the neural
Pathways.
pathways of your brain. So does that mean that if someone doesn't follow his purpose in life, will he not reach happiness?
I believe that the only way to the deep and more consistent joy and fulfillment that everybody craves is by living in alignment with your purpose. I think that's one of the problems in the world, is that many people aren't. And the world is changing, as you know, Dr. Dan, and we're being called, we're being made uncomfortable in a lot of different ways so that we will find and make the difference we're meant to make. I call it that the universe lights a match under our butts, and it's kind of uncomfortable and makes us squirmy. And if we take action, great. If we don't, out comes a second match. So it gets more uncomfortable, right? And then if you still don't take action to try to figure out really what you're meant to do, here comes the flamethrower.
Wow.
Well, I waited for the flamethrower, right? I was like, well, I'll figure it out. I'll just wake up one morning and have an epiphany and figure out what it is I'm meant to do to make the difference that I'm meant to make in my life. But I never figured it out and didn't do that much about it. So my parents dying so close together was my flamethrower that really spurred me to action. So I implore people, don't wait that long.
Wow. So when you do an analysis, how long does it usually take to be able to do a thorough understanding of the purpose of someone's existing in life in this earth?
So I'm going to back up a little bit and then get to that. So I have clients in 12 countries. So I do this using hand prints, just in case people are wondering. I don't do it sitting down face to face. I've used Zoom before most people ever heard of it. And I send a handprint kit. The client takes their prints and mails them back to me, and then I scan them in and we do Zoom call.
Okay.
So the way I do a hand analysis is a full 1 hour. We could spend twice that, but on little stuff that wouldn't matter. So an hour is plenty for me with my expertise to pull out what you really need to know and what's helpful and interesting.
Okay.
And then I also do a second hour as part of a full hand analysis a week or two later to give you time to watch the recording, because there's so much information coming at you, and I'll say something and you'll start thinking about how it applies to your life, and I'm still talking. So it's hard to take it all in. So I give a second hour too to answer any questions, help you integrate the information, talk about coaching if somebody wants to talk about that, however I can serve in that second hour. So it's quite a value because it's 2 full hours with me, recordings of both calls, and a summary report.
Wow. And now when you come, I could not ask the question, what is the level of accuracy? Because obviously it's not like you're predicting the past or the future or anything of that sort. Like palm readers, they'll say, oh yeah, you lost a brother 2 weeks ago. If the intuition is correct, the person is like, wow, how did you know that? So
Right.
that's accurate. But in your case, if you tell them that your purpose in life is to do this, they will say, I never had any interest in that. Why would that be my purpose? So would they try to kind of not contradict you, but kind of try to test your knowledge in that aspect and say, I've never even thought about doing this. Why would that be my purpose?
Well, that may be an issue if the purpose came through as job descriptions.
Okay.
Right? It doesn't. It's the concept behind the ideal work. So the main issue with why I wasn't happy in my other careers is I wasn't going deep enough with people, and I wasn't helping people in deep ways and using my inner power and leadership. So once I started doing that, and there's lots of ways to help people, you help people in deep ways, right? So there's probably commonality with our purposes, yours and mine purpose, although there's hundreds of options of purpose. So I'm not telling somebody as I look at their hand saying, oh, this says you should be a life coach. No, that would be one of the manifestations of helping people in deep ways. So now I've talked to myself out of your question. Nobody argues with me because it is a concept. It's not a job description, and everything so resonates with them. Their comments are more like, God, I feel so validated. That is so freaky accurate. It's kind of freaking me out. Okay. So they trust it. And I think that anybody that would, and I suppose maybe a couple have questioned it because they can't see it in themselves.
That's it. Exactly.
And then they need coaching, because I have absolutely no doubt about the accuracy of this work. I know it's right. So it's a matter of finding the right work that aligns with that purpose and lights up the person.
That's very interesting that you're saying this, Jayne, because I, just like you, I did myself an MBA. My bachelor degree was in finance. Okay, surprisingly enough, it's completely different from what I'm doing now. Then I did,
there is,
and then I did my doctorate. But the thing is that I never really had a hand analysis to tell me, Dan, your purpose in life is to be a therapist and to help people in a clinical perspective or clinical psychology perspective as to why are they depressed, why are they anxious, why is there not any good synergy in their couple, etc. So, but that because I had an instinct, maybe it was a sixth sense, I don't know exactly how to call it, but for people who are completely new to this hand analysis, Jayne, the transition part from them, let's say if they're successful in business or they're successful, whatever it is, but that's not their calling.
Right.
Are they willing to be able to change completely their career just to follow, or you said it's not job description, but their purpose in life? It's very hard from doing something for 20, 30 years. And because they had this hand analysis, they have to completely change it. So how do you transition them to understanding that what you're doing now is not going to make you happy. You're not fulfilling your purpose in life. Do this.
So here's the thing, Dr. Dan, they already know that. They already know they're not happy. That's why they came to me to begin with.
Okay.
They know they're off track, that they feel lost, that something's not working, that they don't feel meaning in their life.
Understand.
So they already know they're not going to get there with what they're doing. Now, some still don't have the courage to change. And, I do what I can. And some people, you can do volunteer work and fulfill your purpose that way. Some people, and you've probably experienced this too, they hate their work. They do want to go through coaching because they can't really see the options that are alignment with their purpose. And then the changes that they experience through coaching, all of a sudden they love their work. But it's them they think everybody around them has changed. It's not them. It's not the other people. They're the ones that have changed. So they see things differently and experience things differently. But yeah, they know they need help, and they know they're not happy, and they're not content, and they're not getting fulfillment.
So would you
So
like a true awakening for them in terms of, like, say you just mentioned that they may not be happy at work, but after coaching, you make them realize, you bring them back their passion in their work. So is that possible? That you've just been like walking like zombies without realizing exactly where they were headed, and then finally they're trying to find their purpose in their work or
yeah.
what you do. So how do you, I mean, it's kind of like a true wake-up call for them, not realizing what they've been doing for so many years, and now suddenly you come along, and after 2 hours, boom, the light comes up.
2 hours. Yeah, to make that kind of change, as you know, takes more time than that. But for most people, it's not a sudden awakening. It's a slow burn where they keep thinking they're going to get happier, or if they do this, it'll make things better. And it's just not. They realize that they need a bigger change. So they're already convinced they know they need change. They just don't know where to go.
So how does spiritual coaching aligns with hand analysis?
Because it's just a type of life coaching. It all aligns. So because we're 360 creatures, we can't separate anything. I would never just focus on somebody's work life, because we're much too complex, and work and life are much too integrated to try to separate them that way. So, I give people in my coaching law of attraction rituals and techniques to put into place immediately, and that changes things very quickly. And it's so threaded and so natural. I don't even think about, okay, this is a life coaching statement. And most of the time, as you know, it comes down to self-love. So
Now the laws of attraction coaching. Now we all know, man, the majority of people have read the book from Rhonda Byrne, The Secret. They have seen the movie, or they have watched the movie and all. And but do you agree that in the movie The Secret, that they failed to be able to provide two key elements that makes the laws of attraction works, which is action and belief? Now the thing is that thought becomes things, but into what effort you have to put into your thoughts for the action, or for the things to become your thoughts. So a lot of people say, okay, well, I'm going to sit on my butt, I'm going to watch Netflix, I'm going to think about a Lamborghini being in my garage,
yeah.
and I'm going to go to the garage a few days later. Oops, it's not there. So the laws of attraction are erroneous. They mean nothing. They're not really tangible. So is it because you have to look this in a metaphysical way, that the laws are only there if you think abundance, but you act and you believe on it?
So I think that repetitive affirmations, for example, can change belief.
Okay.
Because we just keep this over and over and over and repetitive. And I never counsel somebody to wish for a specific car. It's what we want. And it's really not so much the car that somebody wants, it's how the car is going to make them feel,
Okay.
right? We don't want green cash in our hand. That means nothing. It's how having cash will make us feel. So I counsel people to go for the feeling. And as you feel more and more like that, then you are able to attract the things and situations and people that make you feel that way, because like attracts like.
Okay. So if that is the case, then the feeling of having that cash makes them more financially, I would say, comfortable or safe. It's
Secure. Yeah.
that makes them feel happy versus how much zero in their bank account they have after the decimal point. Because again, let's say if you look at the wealth of Elon Musk or Bezos or Zuckerberg or whatever others out there, how much money can you really spend?
Right.
You could have mansions, you could have 100 vehicles in your garage, whatever it is, but you cannot drive them all in one day. So the thing is that are people craving safety more than anything else?
Yes. See, and so go for the security. Go for how these things will make you feel. And this is going to sound arrogant, but I challenge any extraordinarily wealthy person to be as happy as I am.
Okay. Is it because, uh, I mean, more, I would say, wealthy they are, more problems they face?
I think it depends on the person. You know, we all have issues, we all have challenges. So money's not going to erase those. It creates different types of challenges. But yeah, I don't think that having money makes somebody less happy by any means. It gives them more choice,
More choices,
for
yeah.
sure.
And more
But
choices actually brings more, like you said, options and more chances to be able to find what makes you happy. Because
yeah,
you have a lot of opportunities in front of you and you try them all, one of them will hit the target. And the target would be happiness. So
right.
if we go back to you being super happy, so what makes you happy, Jayne?
So I have just figured out, first of all, I'm on purpose.
Okay.
And that is the foundation of everything, because I didn't find my purpose and start living it until my late 50s. So please, people, don't wait that long. So I've got a lot to compare it to, you know, what it feels like to be on purpose versus not.
Okay.
And I've learned that it's very important for me, and it's also in my hands, that I place, and I counsel anybody to do this anyway, place my joy and fulfillment as number one, meaning that I schedule client appointments in the afternoons. The morning is my time. And my number one thing that I love to do is ride my horse. And I do that almost every day. And I go whether I ride or not. I go take care of her and groom her and give her treats and kisses on her nose. So I just have learned, after burning out several times, that I need to take care of myself first. So I have fun and joy every single day. And that's the energy that I bring into my client appointments. So I've already had my fun and joy. I'm already lit up and like, man, do I have a good life. I am so lucky and so blessed. Am I wealthy? No. It depends on who you compare it to, I
Yeah,
suppose.
obviously.
Right. So I'm wealthy in more important ways. You know, I'm abundant.
You do practice what you preach.
Yes. And my mindset is very abundant. Yeah.
Beautiful. So how can anyone or how can our listeners find you to be able to get to know what kind of service you offer, either the coaching, the hand analysis? So do you have like any social media account that they could reach you at?
I do. My website is probably the best place to go, though, which is Purpose Whisperer.
Okay.
There's the horse connection. Purpose Whisperer. And I mean, I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, both under Purpose Whisperer. But they can reach me through my website. And I would like to make a special offer for your listeners, Dr. Dan. If anybody is interested in a full hand analysis with the kit, 2 recordings, 2 hours with me, the summary report, I would like to offer that for $100 off. So I'm about average price for somebody at my level, and there's not many of us as high level as I am. And my average price is $497 for all that time and all that information, and it will change your life. So it would be $397, and you can email me through my website, or I will send you the link that you can put in show notes if you do that, whatever you prefer. And hand analysis is always step number one. Then we decide if coaching is a fit and if it's desired and if it's necessary.
Beautiful. I'm sure that a lot of people out there, the listeners, will definitely take this into consideration because, as you said, this is not palm reading, and a lot of people are very skeptic about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is more scientific, as you mentioned, and because the science stands behind it, then definitely will be something more in depth about understanding what is their purpose in this world and how they can actually achieve their own happiness, which is number one. And this is the one reason why I created this podcast. So that is all the time that we actually have for today's episode. Now, I do appreciate you, Jayne, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to join us. Thank you again for participating and inspiring our many listeners with your incredible stories and skill set. Now, we hope that you have all enjoyed today's episode. I'm very excited about the many upcoming guests that we have scheduled for season 3 of the Happiness Journey podcast, filled with inspirational stories just like the one that you listened to today. Now, here are a few concluding words of wisdom. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is a great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you'll find it. My name is Dr. Dan Amzalag, and you may all keep pursuing your amazing journey in life.